Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for September 13th, 2016. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES right now. Yesterday we had a significant reversal after Friday's sell-off. One key level that we were talking about yesterday was watching the previous session's close, the previous session's low, back above that zone. We thought there could be a quick squeeze back to the midpoint of this impulse move, and that's what we mentioned yesterday pre-market, and that's what we were playing toward in the trading room, 2144.75. I did also mention that we could see a rally as high as 54s over the next 2 days, and that 54s would likely be defended by bears, as that had been previous support. Taking it offered Friday would indicate that a defense would likely come by the bears, and they did defend that area, at least on first test. So we kind of have the edges of this new range. We have 2190 up here, we have 2100 down here, and right here in the middle we have 2144.75. This 54 to 58 is a very important key level as well, and now we have an inside day playing out. What I mentioned before with regards to the ES, no matter how steep or how deep that pullback is, we've been seeing big buy opportunities and continuations to the upside. And I even made the point that the bigger the sell-off, the bigger the reaction. And we saw a big sell-off Friday, and we've seen a big reaction on a one-day basis. Now we'll see if we can continue to see a continuation higher, or do we fail off of these 54. So right now we're kind of right in that zone where we're likely going to see a little bit of chop back and forth, and then we'll see some resolution, but at least we have these key ranges here to help play us out. Now if we take a look at the intraday time frame, here we are. Here's the intraday. What was significant about the previous session again was the previous session's close and low. This is what we were talking about right here. So if we can squeeze above that level, there could be a major rally back toward 44s, and that's the midpoint of that key range. And you can see how price pushed through that level, made its support, and then the trend was on, a straight uptrend. Once we hit 54 up here, that's when things stopped. Price tried to get above it for a moment, came back down, a little bit of an absorption signature, and now we've pulled back to the mid pivot for the day. So right now, ideally, this pullback could be bought by bulls, and we could see some sort of trading range develop up here. Above 54 signals continuation to the upside, perhaps back toward 85s. But failure to get above 54s could be very significant for the medium term. So keep an eye on those key levels, 44 and 54. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. Here's a look at crude oil. This is a daily time frame. Again, we continue to watch the development of this triangle pattern. Large triangle with 13-point back end. Once we do get resolution outside of this range, it's going to be a significant move in the direction of the break. Right now we have 48s as the upside target here, which would put 61s now instead of 49s. So breaking through 48s, we could see a very big squeeze to the upside. Below 43s points to 30s down below. So right now I expect for price to continue to trade and develop within the middle of this range, so toward the apex. And once we see resolution outside of 43 or 48, this thing could get serious. But for now, it could be range bound around composite and micro composite VPOC. All right, looking at this thing on an intraday basis here. There we go. One thing to keep in mind with regards to crude oil, we had a nice squeeze yesterday. I thought in the trading room we mentioned that we could get a squeeze, but that we could actually see a move as high as 47.25 over the next 2 days. And here's 47.25. And price rallied, got almost into that zone, getting into 46.51, and then just stopped. And this is where we got a little bit of a range that formed here. And then overnight, that range has been broken to the downside. So didn't quite reach our 47.25. Got a very good amount of the way there, and then it's pulled back to 45s. This is very typical if this thing's going to bounce again, but we had this kind of rounded off pattern. We broke it to the upside. Here's a defense. And now we've come back into the meat of the key level at 45, and that's where we're seeing a little bit of support here. So a couple of key levels to watch. Bulls want to keep 45s bid for a shot at retesting back up toward 45.70 and perhaps higher, but failure to hold 45 opens up another potential push, at least back toward recent support, which could put you at 44.72 and as low as 43.84. All right, let's take a look at gold futures now. Here's gold in a daily time frame. This also has the weekly PivotBoss pivots. One thing we talked about with this one was we were looking for a bounce from 1306 higher into 1360 to 1365. We got to 57.40. Once we saw, so for all intents and purposes, boom, that was a two days that right into our target zone. Came just shy. But right here, 52s, as soon as we started to see this start to give out above 52, we mentioned there could be a pullback. And that pullback could take you right between 1330 and 1334, and that's right where we are. So a nice series of strength first up, and then a show of weakness on the way back down. And now we're sitting right around the midpoint of the key range. So we're still in a larger trading range. We're near the middle point, so this is a little difficult. It's hard to establish a new position when you're in the middle of a range. You got to wait till we get outside the range in order to fade it back up, or get this thing back up to fade it back down. So right now it's kind of wait and see mode with a trend direction of down. So this implies that we could likely see another retest of 1306 ahead, and I continue to believe that that's an area to defend until proven otherwise. Failure to hold 1306 wouldn't be the end of the world. We have 1290 down here, and there could form a little bit of failed range expansion beyond 1306, and that could lead to a rally. So I think 1290 is really kind of the last line of defense before you have to see a move back toward 1250. Okay, let's take a look now at the NQ. Here's the NQ. This is a daily time frame of the NQ, very similar to the ES. We had the impulse move down, 48.39.5, all the way down into 46.25, our key level. Price bounced up. Again, we were watching the previous session's low, previous session's close. That's the previous week's low and close as well. And the expectation was if we squeeze back above that zone, look for a move back toward the midpoint of the impulse range. So we had 47.30 as the midpoint of the range, and price went right to it and through it. Now price is trying to hold on it this morning pre-market. So we have a very nice impulse range here. This is the one that's going to carry us out here throughout the rest of the month perhaps. Very important key range with clear levels back and forth. We're going to watch the development of this pattern. One thing I mentioned with regards to the broader market, again, is that every pullback has been a significant buying opportunity, no matter how steep. And the steeper the pullback, the steeper the rally usually. So this has been a big pullback here. If prices can get back above 47.60, we could see a continuation. Failure to get above 47.60 would be significant, and we could be retesting low. So right now we're at the center of the range. We got to see how this thing continues to develop. I think we could test both sides of the range before resolution occurs. All right, lastly, in the intraday time frame here, there we go. Here's the intraday time frame. We've seen early selling pressure this morning. Yesterday was all about trending behavior, and then price held at these highs, was not able to surpass, and then here price immediately goes offered and drops downward. Currently holding around VWAP. Not a whole lot to say here other than we're chopping around the midpoint of the key range. Again, 47.30, 47.32. That's the midpoint of the key range. Here's where price is squeezed. That's what I talked about before yesterday. If they can get back above this level, we could squeeze right back to the midpoint of that pattern. We got there and then some. So very nice movement overall. After such a big move like this, and this followed a big move down, there's a tendency to find a range and just trade back and forth. So just keep that in mind. If there's any failure to hold above 47.20, that could be significant. We could be retesting 46.80 very quickly. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.